So what is React Native? React Native has this one important sentence basically created or put into the world by the React Native team. It's learn once, write everywhere. And this sentence is really important. Other alternatives like Ionic, Cordova, which are also tools that allow you to build native apps with web technologies, are all about write once, use everywhere. React Native is about learn once, write everywhere, because React Native is all about embracing the differences that exist between Android and iOS. So it's not that you write one piece of code and it runs everywhere. If that was your expectation, you can do that in a lot of scenarios, but not always. The key thing though is you're always going to use the same language with some platform-specific adjustments, and you're going to learn about this in this course. But you're going to learn how to use a tool set which is given to you by React Native to build apps that run on Android or iOS devices. So this is this learn once thing. You learn something once, you learn React Native once, and then you can use it to write apps for the different platforms. And again, I will of course dive into how you can adjust your code for different platforms and also that you can reuse a big chunk of it, no worries. So this is React Native in a sentence. The idea of course is that we build real mobile apps by using JavaScript and React Native. And this native part is important because you will learn that React Native is actually an addition to React. We will use the normal React from the web and React Native to do something important. We'll dive into that. So the key takeaway is we want to build native mobile apps with JavaScript. So that is React Native. Let me explain what a React Native app is and what it is not. So what it's not is, it's not a web app running on a mobile device. We're not loading it in the browser. We're not building a web app here. It's also not a hybrid app like we build it with Ionic or Cordova, where we have a web app running in a web view component, so in a native app wrapping our web app. That's also not the case. Instead, what we have is, we have a real native app. Our JavaScript code is going to state JavaScript and run in some extra thread spun up by the compiled app, but the whole UI and everything is really compiled to native code. So we're not building a web app here running in some wrapper. We're building a real native app. That of course has a couple of advantages to which I will come back. Now, behind the scenes, the following happens. We have a React plus React Native app, and that's important. We use both libraries, as you will see. And there we have code which will look like this, which you might recognize from a web app built with React. We have a component, our own component, in this case here the app component, where we return some JSX, and you can see the first difference here. These are not DOM elements. We don't have divs and spans here. We get some other components, and that is actually what React Native will be all about, giving us some other components which can be compiled to native code, because divs and spans won't be able to be compiled to native code. So we get this instead, and that's exactly the part, together with some other features, that is compiled to native code, hence offering us great performance and really deep access to the underlying operating system. So what we could say is that React Native in its core replaces the DOM and gives us an alternative DOM for building native apps. And as you will learn throughout the course, it will also give us a lot of utility functions and methods for example, detecting the device orientation, the underlying operating system, things like that.